Have you ever left the office feeling smaller? Not just tired, but diminished, as if a part of your confidence, your light, has been chipped away throughout the day. You walk home replaying a conversation, a sharp comment, a dismissive glance from your boss. You start to question yourself. Was my idea stupid? Am I too slow? Am I incompetent? This feeling, this quiet, corrosive doubt, is a heavy burden to carry. And if you are carrying it right now, I want you to know, first and foremost, that you are not alone. You are not imagining it, and it is not, as you might fear in your darkest moments, entirely your fault. The International Labor Organization has identified the risk of emotional and physical violence as one of the most significant challenges facing organizations this century. So, that feeling of being targeted, of being diminished by a mean boss, isn't just your private struggle. It's a symptom of a deeply troubling current running through the global workplace. It's a phenomenon so widespread and so profoundly human that the great psychoanalyst Carl Jung would see it as a powerful manifestation of what he called the collective unconscious, a sign that something ancient and powerful is at play, the shadow. To understand what's happening in your office, we have to journey inward, into the hidden architecture of the human psyche. Jung proposed that our personality isn't a single unified thing. Instead, it's a dynamic interplay of conscious and unconscious parts. Within our shared unconscious, he discovered what he called archetypes. Think of them as original blueprints for characters and situations that have been repeated throughout all of human history. The hero, the wise old man, the trickster, the great mother, they appear in our myths, our fairy tales, our religions, and our dreams. Because, as Jung put it, they are part of the buried treasure of humanity's repeated experiences. They are the instinctive frameworks we use to make sense of the world and the people in it. Two of the most crucial archetypes for our journey today are the persona and its direct opposite, the shadow. The persona is the mask we wear for the world. It's our public face, our LinkedIn profile, the carefully curated version of ourselves we want others, and even ourselves, to see. It's the competent, agreeable, and successful professional. We all invest a great deal of energy in maintaining our persona. If this idea of looking beneath the surface of our daily interactions to understand the deeper psychological forces at play is already sparking a new perspective for you, take a moment to subscribe to Decode Explained. We journey through these intricate landscapes of the mind together, exploring the hidden reasons behind our feelings and behaviors. Now, what about the parts of ourselves that don't fit this polished image? Our insecurities, our envy, our anger, our feelings of inadequacy. Jung believed these are bundled together into the archetype of the shadow. The shadow is our dark side. It holds everything we deny in ourselves, everything we are ashamed of. It's the part of us we repress and hide, not just from others, but from our own conscious awareness. Everyone carries a shadow, Jung wrote, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. The problem is, no matter how hard we try to lock it away, the shadow finds a way out, especially under stress. It's that sudden, surprising surge of rage in traffic. It's that shockingly cruel comment you make in an argument, followed by the thought, "I can't believe I just said that." That's the shadow erupting. You can often recognize it by the intense feelings of shame and guilt that follow in its wake. But here is the critical part for understanding your boss. The shadow doesn't just erupt within us. We also see it in other people. This is a psychological defense mechanism known as projection. It's an unconscious process where we take an uncomfortable feeling or trait we can't accept in ourselves and attribute it to someone else. It's like an old movie projector in our minds. We have a film reel of our own insecurity, but instead of watching it and owning it, we project it onto the screen of another person. Suddenly, they are the incompetent one. They are the lazy one. They are the one to blame. And by attacking it in them, we get a moment of relief from having to face it in ourselves. So, when your boss stands over you, berating you for a minor mistake, accusing you of incompetence, it is entirely possible that they are not really seeing you. They are seeing the projection of their own deepest fear, the fear that they are the incompetent one. They are screaming at their own shadow, which they have cast upon you. This shadow can burst forth occasionally, in moments of stress. She's just not herself today. Or in more toxic situations, it can threaten to take over completely, becoming the dominant force in a person's daily interactions. But this raises a painful question. Why you? Why are you the screen for their projection? Furthermore, it's important to remember that sometimes your mean boss is just one link in a chain of abuse. It's entirely possible they are enduring immense pressure, disrespect, or unreasonable demands from their own superiors. In a top-down toxic system, pressure and negativity aren't resolved. They are simply passed down the ladder. The boss, feeling powerless and diminished by their own boss, unconsciously projects that same feeling onto you as a way to regain a sense of control. Understanding this doesn't excuse their behavior. Abusive conduct is never acceptable. But it reinforces a crucial truth. You may not be dealing with a single bad individual, but rather a symptom of an entire toxic organizational culture. So, why are you the one who bears the brunt of this? One common and deeply unhelpful misconception is that the victim must have somehow invited the bullying. While it's true that some people who grew up in authoritarian family structures might be unconsciously drawn to relationships that replicate that power imbalance, there is another, far more common type of target. And it's likely not who you think. It isn't the weakest person in the room. Often, it is the one who is perceived as a threat. The psychoanalyst Wilfred Bion studied group dynamics extensively and found that groups have a powerful, instinctual drive towards conformity. This is what the management psychologist Harold J. Levitt called centripetal forces, the pull towards the center, towards shared beliefs, behaviors, and assumptions. This creates a sense of safety and predictability. Everyone knows their role, the rules are understood, and the boat remains steady. The group is led by a powerful figure, the boss, who, like an authoritarian parent, knows what's best and works hard to ensure everyone falls in line. Everything is safe, everything is predictable, until someone comes along and asks a question. Why are we still using this outdated software? Couldn't we be more efficient if we reorganize this workflow? Have we considered a different approach to this problem? To the independent thinker, these are just logical questions aimed at improvement. But to the group, clinging to its comfortable conformity, these questions sound like an alarm siren on a cruise ship. This person is rocking the boat. They are questioning the leader. They are threatening the very fabric of our shared identity and security. The group's instinctive reaction is panic. Something must be done. And the easiest solution is to throw the questioner overboard. This phenomenon, where a group resolves its anxiety by singling out and expelling a member, was brilliantly explored by the French social scientist René Girard. He called it scapegoating. Girard argued that this process is largely unconscious. When conflict or tension troubles a group, the members seek reconciliation not by solving the problem, but by finding a single person to blame for it. This person, the scapegoat, is then subjected to what Girard called a sincere and unanimous condemnation before being cast out. To see this in action, imagine the story of Anne, an enthusiastic new hire at a marketing firm. In his first few months, Anne was praised for his creativity and drive. He proposed a new project management process using more modern technology, promising to increase the entire department's efficiency. Logically, it was a great idea. But Anne didn't realize his proposal had inadvertently shone a spotlight on the stagnation of his manager, who had grown comfortable and secure with the old process for over a decade. It also made other colleagues feel their jobs were threatened, that they would have to learn something new, that their own skills would be reevaluated. A subtle anxiety began to ripple through the team. And then, things started to change. The manager began to pick at Anne's minor mistakes. In meetings, his ideas were brushed aside. Colleagues who were once friendly became distant. whispering behind his back, and went from a rising star to the troublemaker, the inexperienced one who likes to show off. The group, in an unconscious effort to quell its anxiety and protect the familiar status quo, had collectively chosen Anne as their scapegoat. By pushing him to the margins, they restored their own false sense of harmony. Anne's story is the tragic embodiment of the scapegoating mechanism at work in the modern office. So, if you are the person who insists on thinking for yourself, who values your independence more than fitting in, who sees a better way and dares to speak up, you don't look like a valuable asset to a dysfunctional group. You look like a threat. Your competence is a threat. Your independence is a threat. Your light casts a shadow on the group's comfortable mediocrity, and for that, you become the target. You become the repository for all the group's frustrations, fears, and failures. Their collective shadow. This dynamic is amplified in what are known as dysfunctional organizations. These are workplaces where unhealthy patterns become systemic. We can see 5 common models. There are paranoid organizations, constantly afraid of external threats, where any problem is overanalyzed and blame is quickly assigned to find an internal traitor. There are obsessive organizations, which are so fixated on control, tradition, and micromanagement that any new idea is seen as a dangerous disruption. There are dramatic and impulsive organizations, driven entirely by the whims of a volatile CEO, where stability is non-existent and loyalty is demanded to a constantly changing vision. There are depressed organizations, bogged down in bureaucracy and passivity, where there's a lack of leadership and a pervasive sense of helplessness. In these places, anyone with energy or initiative is seen as a disruptive anomaly. And finally, there are schizoid organizations, where leadership is so detached and inconsistent that the company zigzags without purpose, and different factions or departments may turn on each other, with individuals caught in the crossfire. In any of these environments, the stage is perfectly set for the drama of the scapegoat to play out. And in this situation, Jung would argue, trying to fight back or seek justice within the system is often futile. You cannot win an argument against a projection. You cannot reason with a collective shadow. There is no escape, because the group needs someone to carry the darkness it refuses to own, and that person is you. What, then, can you do? The journey out of this toxic dynamic begins not with fighting them, but with understanding them, and, most importantly, with understanding yourself. The first step is to depersonalize the abuse. See it for what it is, a primitive psychological drama. Your boss is not an all-powerful judge of your worth. They are a person struggling with their own unacknowledged shadow. The team members who join in are not evil conspirators. They are individuals caught in the powerful currents of group psychology, sacrificing you for their own sense of safety. Seeing this doesn't excuse their behavior, but it can free you from the prison of self-blame. It moves the problem from "what's wrong with me" to "what is happening in this system?" Understanding this bigger picture frees you from the weight of self-blame. But while you prepare for your next decisive move, how do you survive the day-to-day? This isn't about resignation. It's about smart, self-protective strategies while you build your exit plan. First, practice the gray rock method. This is a psychological technique for dealing with people who thrive on manipulation or negative attention. Their goal is to get an emotional reaction from you. Your fear, your anger, your sadness is their fuel. The gray rock method means you become as boring and unresponsive as a gray rock. When your boss makes a provocative comment, instead of arguing or showing you're hurt, you respond neutrally, briefly, and factually. "Yes, I've noted that. I will look into it." By not providing the drama they seek, you gradually become a less appealing target. Second, document everything objectively. Keep a private log, noting the date, time, what happened, the exact words used, and who was present. The primary purpose of this isn't for an immediate confrontation, but to keep your own perception clear. In a toxic environment, it's easy to be gaslit into doubting your own reality. This log is your anchor. It is proof that you are not imagining things. Third, build bridges, not walls. Don't try to pull colleagues into a war against the boss. Instead, seek quiet connection with one or two people you trust. The purpose isn't to gossip, but for reality checks and emotional support. A simple "this week has been tough" from a sympathetic colleague can make a world of difference. These strategies are your life raft. They help you preserve your energy and your sanity while you quietly and powerfully prepare for your next step, a step that will take you to an environment worthy of your talent and your dignity. The final and more profound step is to turn inward. Jung believed that the goal of a conscious life is not to defeat the shadow, but to integrate it, to become a whole person. This means we must all have the courage to look at our own dark side. As Jung wisely said, the shadow belongs to the fullness of the personality. The strong person must have a weak side. Somewhere in the intelligent man there must be foolishness. Otherwise, the man is too good to be true and becomes an actor and a deceiver. Does some part of your own shadow unconsciously collude with this situation? Perhaps a deep-seated need to be the outsider, to never truly belong. A pattern of seeking out situations where you can prove your resilience by surviving hardship. These are not easy questions, but the answers hold the key to breaking the cycle. If the idea of being an outsider feels completely alien to you, Jung might suggest that's precisely why it's part of your shadow, a part of you that needs to be acknowledged. Ultimately, if you find yourself in the role of the scapegoat, the most powerful and courageous act may be to write yourself out of the play. This is not giving up. It is not defeat. It is a strategic and self-honoring choice to refuse to carry the shadow of others any longer. It is recognizing that while their relief at your departure will be short-lived, for the dysfunctional group will always need a new scapegoat, your own relief will be lasting and profound. It is choosing to find a place, a team, a leader who is not afraid of your light but celebrates it. The painful experience of being under the thumb of a mean boss, when viewed through this lens, can become an unexpected catalyst for profound self-discovery. It forces you to learn about the hidden depths of the human psyche, the strange dynamics of groups, and, ultimately, the courage it takes to be a whole and independent person in a world that so often demands we be less. You carry the scars, but you also carry the wisdom. And you can now walk forward, not smaller, but stronger, more aware, and finally free to find where you truly belong.